Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Deleted Scenes from Sunday's Sermon. Today's topic, responsibility. In Sunday's sermon, we saw how the Apostle Paul gathered for one last time with the elders from the city of Ephesus. And it was such a powerful and moving scene where the Bible says that in Acts chapter 20, verse 37, they all wept as they embraced him and kissed him. You can tell that they loved one another, that they cared for each other, that these elders appreciated the ministry of the Apostle Paul. I remember when I was growing up and would go and visit my family in New York City, and on the last day when we had to come back to Miami, that the family came together and there were so many emotions that were shared. We cried, we hugged each other, we kissed each other as we said farewell to one another. Today I want to talk to you about the Apostle Paul and why he felt compelled to say goodbye to these elders in the city of Ephesus. If we back up a little bit, this is what the Bible says in Acts chapter 15, verse 36. Sometime later, Paul said to Barnabas, "Let us go back and visit the believers in all the towns where we preach the word of the Lord and see how they were doing." You see, for the Apostle Paul, it wasn't enough to just give birth to these believers. He wanted to see them grow in their faith. He understood that his calling wasn't just to lead people to make a decision for Christ, but he understood that the Great Commission was for him to make disciples of people for Jesus Christ. This is why he made all these visits. This is why he wrote all the letters that we have from him in the epistles of the New Testament. The Apostle Paul was committed to seeing these babies grow up to be mature adults in Jesus Christ. As a matter of fact, he said these words to the church in Galatia. In Galatia chapter 4, verse 19, "My dear children, for whom I am again in the pains of childbirth, until Christ is formed in you." I'll never forget the parents who shared with me the incredible burden they felt in trying to raise their children in the ways of the Lord. They said that without God, they could never do it in the right way. I want us to think about the people that God has entrusted to our care and our God-given responsibility to each one of them. Now listen to what Jesus said, or better yet, how Jesus lived and loved his disciples. John chapter 13, verse 1 says, "Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end." You see, Jesus is the only one who can show us how to love one another. Only he can show us how to love others from the time that we say hello till the day we say goodbye. Thank you for listening, and may God bless you this day.